What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here, and welcome to our daily show where we discuss the fourth stimulus check updates, the next two upcoming packages, the physical infrastructure package, part one, and the next stimulus package, which is part two, the $3.5 trillion American Families Plan. They are voting on part one right now. This week, they have already had the first two votes on that part one. They're going through the amendment process of that during this week. They're expected to have the final vote on that this week. I'm going to let you guys know what is going on with that this week, as well as a new $1,200 monthly stimulus check proposal in this video, as well as what is going on in Washington, D.C., and in the United States. And well, there is some hot news going on with New York Governor Andrew Cuomo, and things are literally changing by the moment. So yeah, if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe down below. It's completely free to do so. Remember, the new videos come out here every single day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I will keep you up to date with everything stimulus and stimulus check and stimulus package related, as well as what is going on in our country. Also, don't forget to hit the like button for us, and let's jump right in. A new monthly stimulus check package bill that has been introduced by Congressional Representative Ilhan Omar is picking up a lot of support from the Democratic side. A new monthly stimulus check bill that has been introduced a few days ago would pay adults up to $1,200 per month every single month, and $600 per children has been proposed by Democratic Representative Ilhan Omar and has been increasing support. In fact, Democrats are calling for them to include this in this next stimulus check package, the $3.5 trillion package. This was just introduced a few days ago, and Democrats are calling for this to be included in the next package. This is gathering a lot of support here since it has been introduced in the last few days. This stimulus check program, also being called a guaranteed income program, because it is an ongoing program. It's a monthly check program. Whether you call it stimulus checks, whether you call it universal basic income, whether you call it guaranteed income, monthly checks, they're all pretty much the same thing. They're very similar to the child tax credits that are going out right now of $250 to $300 per month. This particular program would be $1,200 per month for low-income Americans making below $75,000 per month. And I'm sorry, $75,000 per month. Yeah, that would be a lot of money. Making $75,000 per year would get $1,200 per month and $600 per month for children. Basically, this would be support, government support, universal basic income, stimulus checks. Now, the details have not been ironed out because, that would go through the negotiation process. We're all familiar with the negotiation process. Of course, we know how that goes. Negotiations would really be, would iron out the details on this. They could lower the income threshold. They could make it, they could go down to $50,000 of income. Right now, this is set for $75,000 of income. So anybody that makes below $75,000 of income would get these monthly payments. They could do this for a year. They could do this for 2 years. They could do this for 3 years. They could do this for as long as they wanted. This guaranteed income program has been gaining a lot of support since it has been proposed here just a few days ago. A bill for guaranteed income proposed by progressive Democrats in Congress is calling for $1,200 monthly stimulus checks for adults plus $600 for each child. Okay. Now remember, the Democrats are in charge of the House, the Senate, and the presidency, so they could easily pass this. Again, this is very similar to the child tax credits that are going out right now. And again, the Democrats passed that without a single Republican vote. That is how they're going to pass this next stimulus package as well, which is $3.5 trillion. Again, this next package is going to have some type of adult tax credit. Could that also mean some type of monthly adult stimulus checks or adult monthly checks as well. Remember, the child tax credits are $3,000 to $3,600 per year for children. So could that be something similar to monthly payments for adults? So a lot of people thought that these monthly type of payments could never really happen. This would never really happen, and this did happen from the last package. Remember this last package that was the third stimulus check package, which was only $1.9 trillion. That included $1,400 stimulus checks for adults, $1,400 stimulus checks for children, and $1,400 stimulus checks for adult dependents and college students who didn't even receive stimulus checks from the first and second stimulus checks. They were excluded because they were adult dependents. So they got stimulus checks. Children got $500 or $600 from the first and second stimulus checks. So they got twice as much as they got, or more than double than they got from the first and second round. So $1,400 stimulus checks were the largest yet to date. And these $3,000 to $3,600 child tax credits were included on top of that. Okay. Now, child tax credits are not new. They've been around for 23 years, since 1998. But they're very, very different, okay? You used to only get it on your tax return. They used to be much, much less. In fact, they started off at only $300 to $400. Former President Donald Trump increased them from $1,000 per child to $2,000. And you would only get it on your tax returns. And the Democrats significantly increased it from $2,000 to $3,000 per child for children over 6 and $3,600 for children under age 6. So that's a 50% increase for children over the age of 6 and an 80% increase for children under the age of 6, an increase of $1,000 more per child or $1,600 more per child. And they're paying it out in monthly checks. And they made a significant change in the fact that you don't need any earned income. Okay. I get a lot of people saying, because here's the thing, the Democrats have said in this next package will be an adult tax credit. Okay. And we don't know what that's going to be. I see a lot of people saying in the comments, well, an adult tax credit, what if I don't file tax returns? Okay. The child tax credit, the Democrats made a significant change that says you don't need to file tax returns to get these child tax credits, okay? This is an important change, even going forward for everybody that doesn't have children, okay? Because in this next package is going to be an expansion and an extension of the adult tax credit, okay? So for the child tax credits, they made the change. It says you don't need any earned income. You don't need to earn $1 of earned income. So if you're a stay-at-home mom, for example, that doesn't earn any earned income, or if you're a person on Social Security that doesn't have any earned income, you can now get the child tax credit. Basically, these monthly checks that are $250 to $300 per month, or a total of $3,000 to $3,600 per year. So this new proposal for this $1,200 per month payments could be the same thing. You might not need any earned income. You could be a person on Social Security, a senior on Social Security. You could be a stay-at-home mom who doesn't earn any income and get these new possible $1,200 monthly checks. If they include this in the next package or the next package after this, remember on October 1st, the Democrats get a whole nother set of reconciliation cards where they can pass more stimulus packages for the next fiscal year, which starts on October 1st. This next package, part 2, the next stimulus package, the American Families Plan, this $3.5 trillion package, will not be the last package. Okay, we don't know what's going to be in it. We don't know if there's going to be more child tax credits. Remember, those end at the end of this year. It's only passed for 1 year. They want to extend that until 2025. So if you have children, you're really hoping that they extend that until 2025 so that those payments continue. If you don't have children, you're really hoping that they include these monthly payments for adults, whether that's going to be $3,000 to $3,600 per year for adults, whether there's going to be a fourth stimulus check in there, whether it's going to be a big check at tax return time, whether they give you a one-time check at tax return, or if they just give you a stimulus check now and they just send it to you right away. The possibilities are endless. There's also going to be possible free college in there, 2 years of free community college. I also think they're going to expand that later on in one of the upcoming packages where they're going to do, similar to what they're doing with the child tax credits now. They just pass it for 1 year now. and then go to expand it later on. Same thing they're going to probably do with the child or with the free college. They're going to try to pass it for 2 years now and then go to expand it later on. Okay. Same thing with the adult tax credits. They might go to try to pass it now. Maybe they do something where they're going to send out $250 to $300 per month for adults now, which would be $3,000 to $3,600 per year. I mean, hey, that's a lot of money. That's the equivalent to three $1,200 stimulus checks. So if the government said, "Hey, would you like $3,000 to $3,600 in stimulus checks per year?" I don't think anybody here would say no. I mean, that would be pretty awesome. And especially if they said it's per year, pretty awesome. And especially when we start to see, things like this going around, new monthly stimulus checks would pay adults up to $1,200 per month. Per month. Yeah. Progressive proposed bills guaranteeing monthly $1,200 payments. This bill just introduced by the Ilhan Omar, who's a member of the Democratic Progressive Caucus, led by Pramila Jayapal. Remember, there are about 100 Democrats in the House of Representatives, and remember, they all vote together. So if they get the Democratic Progressive Caucus on board, then the sky is the limit. Also want to show you something that happened earlier today in the Senate. Check this out. Here is Senator Mitch McConnell going to the podium, the lectern, to make a speech. Check this out.
Well, you all remember what they used to say about Chuck over in the House. You never want to get between Chuck and the camera. Just had a firsthand experience with that. I must say he was quite good at beating me to the microphone.
Yeah, so good old Mitch McConnell is going there to make a speech, and good old Chuck Schumer, Senate Majority Leader, cuts off a Senate Minority Leader and says, And Chuck Schumer actually went there and made a speech and made Mitch McConnell wait. Yeah, so the political games continue at the Senate, but yeah, they're actually holding it together there at the Senate, going through the amendment process, and they're actually making progress there on the Senate floor. So they're getting close here. I think they're going to be wrapping up Part 1 on the Senate. On the Senate floor for Part 1, the physical infrastructure package, and finalizing the Part 1. So once they finalize Part 1, the physical infrastructure package, they will get to the final vote to pass that. Then Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and Senator Bernie Sanders have said that they are then going to be voting on Part 2, the next stimulus package, the opening portions of that. Remember that there will be several votes on that. Remember, they don't just do a single vote on that. There will be several votes, and I will be walking you through that and the details that we find out about that. There is another pressing matter that is going on, is the debt ceiling. Now, remember that the Congress and the United States government has missed the debt ceiling deadline. So that was July 31st or August 1st. So they missed the debt ceiling. So what that means is that the debt ceiling was not raised. So as you can see here, the Treasury Department has invoked extraordinary measures as Congress has missed the debt ceiling deadline. Yeah. So the Treasury Department will begin conducting emergency cash conservation steps. Economists say that these so-called extraordinary measures will allow the Treasury to pay off government bills without issuing debt for up to 3 months. Yeah, so a couple things here. Number one is they didn't even vote on this. They're going to have to vote on this at some point. The Republicans say that they don't think that Mitch McConnell said that he doesn't think a single Republican will vote yes to raise the debt ceiling, even though the Republicans raised, and the Democrats, they both have to vote to raise the debt ceiling. They voted twice to raise the debt ceiling during former President Donald Trump's presidency, most recently in 2019. They have to do this every 2 years. So if they don't do this eventually, they're going to have to, the U.S. will default. Total default. So the Treasury is going through emergency cash reserves here for the time being. Now, the reason they didn't even vote on this is because Mitch McConnell says that he doesn't think a single Republican will vote yes on this. And because they're going through here's what I think. Because they're going through this voting process of part one, if they go and try to do an emergency vote on the debt ceiling and then they have this huge explosion of the Republicans voting no, then the infrastructure deal could fall apart. So I think they're going to try to finish the infrastructure deal and then at some point vote on the debt ceiling vote. So meanwhile, Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen says they have 2 to 3 months where the government has emergency cash reserves of somewhere like $400 billion that they can use for emergency money to fund the government. Okay. Eventually, they're going to have to vote, and Mitch McConnell says that he can't picture a single Republican voting yes. So we don't really know what's going to happen. Now, the Democrats can include raising the debt ceiling inside the budget reconciliation process, which you guys know as the next stimulus package. But they have to do this every 2 years. The Republicans really shouldn't be doing this. The Republicans raised the debt ceiling twice during former President Donald Trump's presidency. No matter who's the president, if it's a Republican or a Democrat, they have to raise the debt ceiling every 2 years. It would be like a bank, in this case, the Bank of America, not being able to use money, not being able to issue new money, not being able to have credit or anything like that. If they're not able to pass this at all at some point, the government will literally run out of money and will not be able to issue new money, will not be able to pay money, will literally default. So at some point in the near future, this is going to become a very, very big issue. You can see here the Treasury Department will begin conducting emergency cash conservation steps on Monday, or they did yesterday, to avoid busting the federal borrowing limit after a 2-year suspension of debt ceiling expired at the end of July. Economists say those so-called extraordinary measures will allow the Treasury to pay off the government's bills without floating new debt for 2 or 3 months. After that, Congress will need to either raise or suspend the borrowing limit or risk the U.S. defaulting on its obligations. The limit, a facet of American politics for over a century, prevents the Treasury from issuing new bonds, a way for the government to raise money, to fund government activities once a certain debt level is reached. That level reached $22 trillion in August 2019, when former President Trump was president, and was suspended until Saturday because that's when the government passed it until. The new debt limit will include Washington's additional borrowing since summer 2019, and the Congressional Budget Office estimated in July that its new cap will likely be just north of $28 trillion. Former President Donald Trump, the national debt limit went up by about 40% while he was president in just 4 years. Janet Yellen says, the Treasury Secretary, I respectfully urge Congress to protect the full faith and credit of the United States by acting as soon as possible. Though the federal government has never defaulted, economists say such an event would have disastrous effects on the U.S. economy by spiking interest rates. That might be the least of the concern if the U.S. defaults. Yeah, so I don't know what's going to happen. I think, honestly, I think the most reasonable expectation would be that the Republicans would come on board and say, yeah, we'll raise the debt ceiling. It's something we have to do. I honestly think that they need to figure out a way to not have to do this every 2 years. I honestly think they also need to figure out a way that they have to do. I think that they also have to do this for the government budget. You know how they have to pass the government budget every year, and a lot of times we have a government shutdown where they don't come to they don't pass the government budget quite in time, or they have the government extensions. Remember, we went to that last year where they were almost, they tied the government budget to the stimulus package. Yeah, passing a government budget every year and this debt ceiling limit every 2 years is a little bit crazy. They need to extend that a little bit more so we're not doing this every single year or two. But that's Congress for us. It seems like we're always one step away from a national disaster. But at least we're getting through it together here on the show, I guess. Here we are as an extended family, one step away from disaster. I guess, right? I don't know. Are we going to have the first time ever where the government defaults? What are they doing out there in Congress, right? I don't know. So yeah, I mean, they didn't even vote on it because I feel like I don't know why they didn't vote on it, but if they do vote on it, Mitch McConnell says all the Republicans are going to vote no. So I feel like I feel that the reason why is they're going to pass this infrastructure package first so that they have all the votes in writing. And then remember, then they still got to send it to the House. And then I think they're going to try to vote on it. But then remember, they're saying the reconciliation part comes next. But remember, all the Republicans are expected to vote no on that as well. So the Democrats are going to pass it on their own. Yeah, Congress, right? This is Congress. This is I can't make this stuff up. I cannot make this stuff up. That's why I literally show you this stuff in black and white on the screen, because you would think I was making this stuff up, but I can't make this stuff up. It's like a real life soap opera. It's a reality soap opera here on the It's Jimmy Show every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The good news is man, we got all these stimulus packages coming. The bad news is the pandemic is getting worse and worse and worse and worse. The bad news is it seems like this pandemic might never end. I don't know, man. I don't know what to tell you. Good news is we're here every day as family, sticking with each other, by each other's side. I don't know. That's it for today. Thanks, guys. Make sure to subscribe. I'll see you in the next episode. You can click this top video here to watch my newest stimulus check video. And this video is about, I don't know, new government mandated vaccines. Yeah, that's actually happening too. I'll see you guys in the next episode.